Whether you're creating shorts for YouTube or reels on Instagram, I think Capcut is a really great free option to edit videos with. I just want to show you guys how I use Capcut to make my short form content, like reels for Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, let's get to it. So I do want to point out really quickly, as far as filming content, I just use my phone, to be honest. Eventually I do want to like upgrade and get a nicer camera so I can have my storage back on my phone. If you're just getting started on social media as an artist, you don't have to have a ton of fancy equipment. Really, I just recommend using your phone. Most smartphones have like a decent camera on them nowadays. Before we can make a great video, we have to gather materials, or in this case, video footage. So I do have some rules that I like to keep in mind whenever I'm filming, and I try not to break these rules, but sometimes rules are meant to be broken, so keep that in mind. So my first rule is to always film with natural light as much as you can. Obviously, this is not always possible. I'm literally filming this section right now at night, so I understand that like that's not always possible. It just depends on your schedule and what works for you. But if you're able to, always try to film with natural light. Open up windows. If you're going to be drawing in your video, try to draw near a big window so you can get as much natural light as possible. This just makes it a lot easier whenever you're going to edit and adjust lighting later. Whenever you use artificial lighting, it can kind of make your video look yucky. So if you can get natural lighting, that's best. If you are like me and have to film at night sometimes, or just with like really poor lighting, I recommend getting a Ring camera. I got mine off of Amazon. They're fairly cheap and they just provide a decent lighting if you have to film at night, and they're super compact and pretty convenient. Okay, rule number 2 is always try to keep things moving in your shots. So whenever you're filming, especially shorts and reels, I always try to make sure that something is like moving on screen. And the reason for this is because we humans have very short attention spans. Our attention spans are not what they used to be. There's all kinds of content just constantly flying at us and trying to grab our attention. And if anything you can do to make your video more like interesting is gonna help keep people watching your content longer. Just keeping like our brains happy while we're watching. Rule number 3 is to change the camera angles. This kind of goes along with rule number 2 in that humans have very short attention spans, and by changing the camera angles, it just helps keep it interesting. There's really no like set rule on how often you should change your camera angle or anything like that. I try to keep mine at least every 5 seconds or so, especially for short form content. I'm trying to either change the angle, change what I'm filming, just do something different at least every like 5 seconds or so. That's just kind of what I've found has like worked for me in my videos, but I'm not an expert, so this is just what's worked for me. And as far as varying your camera angles, you always want to try and get some sort of establishing shot. And this is just kind of like setting the scene for your video or setting the vibe. The video that I'm going to be making today, I'm just doing a sort of paint with me, like showing my process. And in this video, I'm going to have an establishing shot, which is just kind of showing the artwork that I'm going to be creating. And I'll also have a couple of shots of me actually painting. I don't film the entire thing. I just will film a couple of parts where I'm drawing or painting. Try to get like a variety of shots where I'm doing different things, just kind of showing the progress of creating the painting. And then I'll have a final shot. For these kind of videos, this is just like the finished painting, and you can make it really fun or cool. I usually just like show me finishing my painting and then I zoom out so you can see the whole thing. Just whatever you like want to do, you can be really creative with it. Now that we have all of our beautiful footage, we are going to edit. So I'm going to take all of the pieces that I just filmed and I'm going to throw them into Capcut and we are going to edit. Whenever I do this, I always like to start with a rough pass. So this is basically just me cutting out all of the like fluff, all of the extra stuff, anything that I don't need. With Capcut, this is super easy. The part that you want to cut, you just go to it, you hit split, and then you can take that section and just delete it. Yeah, this first pass is just getting rid of anything that I know that I'm not going to use. Again, keep in mind rule number 2, because anything if there's ever a part where my hand goes out of frame, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that because I always want there to be something moving. If my hand's not in frame, then like there's nothing moving. Just keep that in mind. If you have a ton of sections where like your hand is coming out of frame, you might just consider like cutting those off. Not the hand, the video. And then once I have my rough pass done, I'm gonna do another pass, and this time I'm actually gonna start adding effects. So with CapCut, you can add all kinds of stuff. You can add animations, you can add stickers, you can add text. I don't do a lot of extra stuff usually with short form content. I will with my longer videos, but for reels and stuff, usually I only really add text, which I'm gonna do now. So I'll add a title text. And the cool thing about CapCut is you can actually, they have all kinds of different fonts that you can use. I actually have my own like custom font that I found online that I've actually added to CapCut that I like to use like pretty much in all my videos. I'm just gonna use that and just do like paint with me. And yeah, and then whenever I do my next pass, I'll actually go and add like music and sound effects to this. But for now, this is just what we have. I'm also going to go ahead and add an animation to this. So what I'm gonna do is, I've been like really into the like typewriter look. So I'm just gonna add that animation here really quick. Again, anything that you can do to have things moving on screen is gonna make the video just like a little bit more interesting. I felt like the video was kind of boring at this point, so I actually ended up adding some more text onto it. I do have a quick tip, because what I like to do is I'll take that text block and just duplicate it instead of like recreating it throughout, because I know I'm gonna reuse it over and over. I'll actually just like duplicate that text block and then move it down and then change the text to whatever I want. This saves me just like a little bit of time, so I don't have to keep creating a new text block and then change the font and then change the text. It just kind of saves me a step. And then once I have that done, I'm gonna do a final pass. This is where I'm gonna add any music and sound effects. CapCut has a ton of sound effects that you can add, which you'll see me adding on screen here. I am gonna add the typewriter sound to my title text, and then I'll like split it and delete the section I don't need. I'll also add a mouse click sound. I've been doing this recently too, just kind of experimenting with different sound effects and what I like and don't like. And I do like the little clicky sound, so I'll just throw that in there. Yeah, this is also where I would do any sort of voiceover. One final thing that I also want to do, I didn't mention this earlier, but I usually do this in the like rough pass stage, is I'm going to actually adjust the lighting a little bit. CapCut has a ton of filters. Like I said earlier, CapCut is free to use, but there are certain features that you have to unlock Pro to use. And the way you can tell is there'll be like a little blue diamond in the corner if it's something that's like a Pro feature. As long as you don't click on that for any of this editing, you don't have to pay anything, like it'll be free. But anyway, so they have filters that you can choose from. Another thing I like about CapCut's filters is you can actually increase or decrease the intensity of the filters, which I really like. So I'll usually play with that a little bit. And then as far as adjusting specific metrics, this kind of just depends on what your lighting looks like, and this will be kind of specific to your video. For the most part, I usually only mess with the brightness, saturation, brilliance, I think, exposure. Those are really the only ones that I mess with, and it just kind of depends on your lighting scenario what I use. But yeah, once I do that, I'm just going to do a quick look through my video, just make sure that I didn't miss anything, everything looks good, and then I will export it. So for shorts and reels and things, I tend to add the music inside the app that I end up like uploading it to. The reason I do this is just because sometimes the copyright is a little weird. Certain music is like copyrighted on one platform and not another. I don't know why. I don't know, I just work here. Anyway, so just to avoid any sort of like mix-ups with that, I just add the video inside the specific app, and there we go. So now we have our beautiful reel. As far as any final tips that I have, I do recommend whenever you are shooting your video, always try to consider if you are going to add text or anything. Keep that in mind whenever you are filming, to save some room for like any text that you want to add. Some ideas for like reels that you could post. I always recommend looking at what's like trending. So if there's trending audio that you want to use, I definitely recommend doing that. A lot of this just requires kind of looking and seeing what other people are doing and using. You can do draw and paint with me's like I did in this video. You can do like art Q&A and just share some of your behind the scenes stuff. You can share Procreate tips, which I have a reel right here that you can check out. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!